Good evening. I would like to welcome each of you to tonight's workshop, November the 1st, 2021. This workshop was called to address discipline concerns that have been raised at the Madison County Central School. We asked for the administration to come with a corrective action plan tonight of what they're planning to do to improve discipline. And so at this time, whoever is speaking for the school may approach the podium.
Good afternoon. What you have before you is an update. I didn't quite know exactly what you guys were looking for. So what you have before you is a kind of update of what's going on at Central. So I can give you a second to go through and look at it real quick, or we could jump right into it. You can stop me as we go along.
Mr. Williams, do you want me to get you this in color?
We do, but it's printed. Yeah.
I can get them all, give them, I'll make the copy of the color. You can get started, I'll just lay them off.
It's just printed small.
Don't wait on the diagram.
Yeah, that's why I gave you the black
Some
and
of
white.
us are old, Ron.
That's why I gave you the black and white. It's a little bit bigger.
And I'm talking about myself.
All right, I'm wearing glasses also, so. All right, but before we get started, the first thing I want to mention is that, at Central, we're no different than anybody else. COVID has been a challenge for everybody. It's been especially a challenge for us because we lost a coworker due to COVID, and we still have two coworkers still trying to recover from the disease. So that just adds to our ability to fill the staff fully. So we have some people out, but the people that we have working at Central, I will say, have gone above and beyond to do everything that they can to make sure that education goes on at Central. Our staff is selfless, they're dedicated, and we have several staff members that come to work in spite of different ailments and different things. So I just wanted to make sure that I recognize our staff for the tremendous job that they're doing and trying to keep up with. So if you'll go through this with me, I think I'll get to all your questions about what we're trying to cover here today. On that second page there, you see two pictures, a picture of Ms. Davis teaching fifth grade class, and you'll see a picture of Ms. Nancy Vaughn there going through some science and STEM lessons with an elementary class there also. Ms. Davis is in there teaching a fifth grade class because we are short one fifth grade teacher. We just hired one, Ms. Mobley, to make that 3 out of 4 teachers in that grade level. So we're still trying to work to fill those grade levels. If you turn over to the next page, you'll see student counts. At this time, 8th grade, we have 132 students. 7th grade, we have 131 students. 6th grade, 126. 5th grade, 89. 4th grade, 72. 3rd grade, 79. 2nd grade, 61. 1st grade, 84. and kindergarten 95, 32 in pre-K. To the side of that, you'll see the number of sections that we have cordoned off for those students. And you'll see that the average for 6th, 7th, and 8th grade is pretty much 22, 22, and 25 in 6th grade. And then 5th grade is 22.25. Then it kind of tapers off a little bit in 4th grade and 3rd grade at 18 and 19, and then 20. Kindergarten, we are 2 teachers short there. We have a vacancy in kindergarten that we are filling with a para and a support fill-in. So you can see the amount of teachers that we need there on the side out there. We need 1 8th grade teacher who we're looking for, a 6th grade teacher, a 5th grade teacher, and 2 kindergarten teachers. Next page is iReady, the K-5 Initial Diagnostic. You can see the color a little bit better on that one, but I'll give you the projected proficiency is, I can't even see mine here. Help me out, what's projected proficiency? The math. Yeah, K-5. Oh, that's the big ones. You got the ration hours.
That's the same.
There it is. All right, so the initial diagnosis for K-5 for iReady math is at 5% in the green, and then we have 57% in the orange, which is tier 2. So, and I'll talk about some things there, what we're doing to focus on that 5% and that 57%. Sounds rough, but I think we got a plan to take care of it. On the next page, you'll see iReady reading diagnostic, 17% in the green and 49% in the yellow, 34% tier 3 in the at-risk category. 6th, 7th, and 8th grade middle school, we use STAR as our diagnostic. The initial test, you'll see 6th grade in reading, 24%. 7th grade is 15%, and 8th grade is 26%. 6th grade in math, 40%. 7th grade math is 32%, and 8th grade math is 21%. All right, so the next page is what we're doing to address our academic deficiencies. This summer, Ms. Joseph brought in K-12 Lift to help us learn how to help students create realistic student outcomes. That is what we're focusing on now, getting our teachers to understand student growth and growth measures and how to set realistic goals so that our students can grow fast enough. So what we have teachers doing now, teachers are posting goal charts in the classroom. So not only are the students creating goals for themselves, the teachers are also creating goals for the classes so that we can show the growth and use that as an incentive so that we can see growth happens. What we call Bronco Time is our intervention time, and it happens K to 8. So Bronco Time is going to be solely focused on interventions for those deficiencies that's been identified through the diagnostics tests. So we're going to be using small groups and targeted interventions to attack those deficiencies so that we can try to get those kids back on grade level. Whole group time, which is regular class time, that's going to be focused on grade level standards. It'd be easy for us to just focus on the deficiencies and try to get those kids caught up, but at the same time, we can't just focus on catching up. We got to focus on keeping up also. So we got to do both of them at the same time. We got to catch up while we're keeping up. So as we go along, we will have PLCs twice a month, and during those PLCs we have data chats. During those data chats, we try to figure out what assessments are working, what assessments are not, whether we see growth or not. The APs and the MTSS person will go through and talk about interventions that we're using to try to make sure that we're growing like we're supposed to and we're seeing that growth. Also this year, because Central hadn't scored a C 3 years in a row in the last 5 years. So now, because of that, we're placed on a list with Florida, and now Just Read Florida is going to be working with us, and we'll be using some of those resources to help improve our literacy. I think Chris Bray is our contact in that, so we'll be working with her a little bit more than normal.
When is that will start?
It's starting already.
It's already started.
Yeah, we're working with Ms. Hill.
When did that start?
It's already started. We're working with Ms. Hill now to set up trainings.
When did it start?
It started about a month ago. Well, really it started back over the summer, but as far as moving toward a school-wide plan, it started about a month ago.
So in working with Chris Bray, we've also had to change our literacy team. We had a literacy team, but the state changed some things that you had to be on there. So we have changed around some folks, and everybody that's on the literacy team now has to be reading endorsed. So that's a big plus for us. If you go to the next page, also part of our focus is on science and grades 2 to 8. In the past, grades 2 through 3 didn't really focus on science. So this year we built a little bit more time in our master schedule to make sure that we focus on science, and now we're teaching science all the way down to the kindergarten level. So we're focusing on those NGSSS types of questions that kids are going to see. And what we noticed is when we take science tests, the kids are not used to the length of those questions. So now we have partnered with someone to help us work on these science assessments. And now we do mini assessments, and these kids get to see these types of questions every day as a question of the day. Since we've started that, since the beginning of the year, we've noticed that in 5th grade, there is evidence of improvement from the beginning when we took the big idea assessment, big idea 5. We've noticed some improvement from 24% to 42% on the big idea 10. So they're getting it. We just have to make sure that we keep pushing it and make sure the kids keep being exposed down to kindergarten. So for middle school, we're using USA Test Prep to make sure that those students are exposed again to those test type questions. So all of our exams and science are coming from that. So we make sure we have common assessments among all the grades in 6th, 7th, and 8th. Next page, the school-wide focus is just a quick snapshot of some things that we're working on, and again, I'll get more into Avid and discipline here in a second. For what we're focusing on academics, again, we're focusing on small groups. During Bronco Time, there's an emphasis on science. That says K to 8. I meant 3 to 8, but it should be K to 8. Common planning in the elementary. We didn't have common planning before. Now we have our elementary teachers doing common planning, and I think that's working pretty good for us. We're implementing Avid, which is a program, it's in middle school now for us, 7th and 8th grade, but it's geared towards those students to try to focus them, encourage them to go past high school into post-secondary education. So there's things that they work on in there, and I'll get to that in a second. We have 2 new MTSS RTI folks that are doing a wonderful job for us. They're averaging about 15 meetings per week, and they're addressing everything from behavior to attendance and also discipline. They're having these meetings with parents, students, and teachers. They're also helping with the interventions. Ms. Yarrick, who is our MTSS middle school person, she is actually leading a training in Eureka, and Eureka Math for our elementary school. So she's modeling how we're going to teach Eureka Math in elementary. And Ms. Dahl, who's doing our elementary kids, she's now conducting groups to help middle school and elementary kids with conflict resolution. You'll see that students that exhibited high-frequency behavior problems, we've identified those kids. Alternative discipline is offered. Again, I'll get to that in a second. There's a refocus on positive behavior, PBIS. We have now posted posters around the school with the PBIS expectations, and I'll talk about that in a second. For those kids that continue to have issues, we have started doing mandatory parent conferences. If your child cannot behave, then they can't come back until you bring them back, and then we have a mandatory parent conference. That seems to work a little bit for most of it. All right, page 16 is Avid. There's a little bit about the program, Avid. Currently, we have Avid going on in 7th and 8th grade. There are classes in both of those grade levels. Right now, we have 4 teachers that are currently trained, and we'll have at least 1 teacher in every subject trained before the end of the year. The goal is to have all the middle school teachers trained in Avid strategies and organization and collaboration by the end of the year. Those evidence of organization, student, and teacher collaboration, note-taking ability. If you talk to any of our 7th or 8th grade teachers, they can tell you about the improvement that they're seeing in the student being organized as far as Cornell note-taking and studying and things of that nature. Group sessions and group collaboration, group discussions. Students are learning how to do that in Avid. The goal for Avid, again, is to encourage more students on focusing on achieving post-secondary education, improve organizational, note-taking skills, ability to debate and think critically to solve problems. Ms. Moy last week had a wonderful video of her doing Socratic circles where the kids had to break down a novel piece and explain and debate on that. Improve students' ability to collaborate and discuss topics using academic language, not just everyday language. Expose students to colleges through trips and information fairs. And then, like I said, train all teachers in Avid techniques and eventually have that move down to the 4th and 5th grade. All right, page 17 is, you'll see discipline by the numbers. Total referrals written as 621.
Is this from the beginning of the year?
Yes, ma'am. The students that are at Bridge, if you look at it on Skyward, you'll see that number included in, but I've taken them out. So at Central, there's 621 total referrals written since the beginning of the year. Students with at least 1 referral, that's 270. Students with 3 referrals or more, that number sits at 80. The most frequent type of referral remains to be disrespect, disobey. There's 74 students with at least 1 out-of-school suspension. 19 students with more than one out-of-school suspension. And then you can see the breakdown by grades. Kindergarten, we have 17 referrals, 75 referrals in first grade. Third grade, second grade, you'll see 34. Third grade is 23, 32 in fourth grade. Then the numbers start to increase. 106 in fifth grade, 85 in sixth grade. Seventh grade is 126, eighth grade is 133. And at the bottom, I've identified the altercations at 24 and fights at 12, and then aggressive acts at 37. The difference between altercations and fights is if somebody's got to get in there and break them up, or somebody may have a high potential chance of injury, we code it as a fight. But if it's somebody in there and they're pushing and shoving and yelling at each other, we code it as an altercation.
What is aggression?
Aggression is one student hitting another student. All right, so on page 18, we're addressing those discipline issues. Right now, deans and assistant principals have identified those teachers and the classes that are presenting the biggest challenges. Classes are on regular visit schedules. So the deans and the APs have identified, for example, a fourth grade class that a teacher has had to write a lot of referrals, and now we're spending more time in that fourth period class. We've identified the teachers that are writing the most referrals for classroom behavior issues, training, management, classroom management, and cultural responsive teaching will be offered by the staff. And we have an in-house person to help us with de-escalating training that's going to be offered to the staff. The plan is to get that done before Christmas also.
Where are most of the fights occurring?
PE, some in the classroom.
Are there any between classes?
Very few. Teachers are doing a good job of being in the hallways during the change of class. In fact, most of the classrooms, when they change, one class changes and then another class changes. And if the classes are close enough, one class goes through the bathroom hallway and the other class goes through outside. So teachers are doing a good job at doing that.
So it's occurring at PE and other classes?
PE and in some classrooms, yes.
Is PE structured or is it play?
At times it's structured, sometimes it's play.
Maybe it needs to be more structured
We're
for some kids.
Yeah, we're working on that. A lack of eyes. We have, the plan is to have 4 people. For example, if you take middle school PE, there should be 4 people, 2 PE coaches, 2 pairs watching PE, with down 4 pairs. So that leaves us to go in and jump and watch PE, admin, deans to go and assist whenever we can. And sometimes things happen. And then sometimes you have students that, no matter who's watching, still find a way to get involved. So those are the kids that
So you think that lack of eyes is one of the main issues that come, with things, right?
Mm-hmm. That's a huge issue for us.
But you also have to have them structurally engaged in something and just not out there doing their own thing, because that's not a good situation with a large number of kids.
Right.
I mean, if you have them structurally engaged in an activity or sport, or if they're doing a basketball unit or soccer or whatever they're doing, I mean, that decreases fights. If you have them just playing, I mean, that's what causes fights. I mean, and then you throw lack of supervision on top of it, it's just a bad situation.
Yeah, we work with the PE coaches on structuring different games to play.
How many kids is in the gym? Generally. I mean, I know you can't.
We try to separate them, boys and girls. If I start with middle school and work my way down to elementary, We've got band, there's about 30 kids in each grade level in band. You've taken 50, this is not a correct, precise number, but 50 girls and 50 boys. So Coach Sloan has the girls in one area and Coach Joseph has the boys in another area. So they swap gyms, gym days. So either the girls are in the gym and the guys are outside, or the girls are outside and the boys are in the gym.
So one coach is watching 50 kids?
Most times, yeah.
That's tough.
It is tough, and we're using the deans and APs to go out and watch, and sometimes the APs are doing PE, and sometimes the dean are doing PE with them, so it is tough. All right, so also what we're doing now is we're utilizing alternative consequences instead of putting the kids in detention where they're out of class. We're using PE detention, take away their PE, putting them in detention. We have a campus beautification squad. So those kids that are doing minor things, we get a group of those kids and we go around and we pick up paper, clean up the campus on the exterior. We have cafeteria detail. They're helping clean up the cafeteria. And also at times we'll assign them to Mr. Freddie, where they can help him do custodial duties where we're also short. I will say that this past Friday, things are looking up. This past Friday we had our first PBS Good Behavior Celebration on the 28th and the 29th. The students that had less than 2 referrals this time were able to go to the gym for a movie and some music and just to unwind and have a good time. Teachers all supervised that, and those kids that were not allowed to go, a couple teachers stayed behind and kept them in the classroom. So next month when we have our PBIS Good Behavior Celebration, it'll be for the kids that don't have any referrals. So something for the kids to look forward to. Also, like I said, we have put a refocus on the PBIS expectations. We have developed a new team. Some of the ones that we had on the old team have moved on and left us. So now we have that new team to look over that. We're going to do our first PBIS Good Behavior After School Dance, which is going to be scheduled right before Christmas break. Kids, middle school kids are looking forward to that. We're going to start announcing good behavior classrooms over the intercom in the mornings. If we catch a classroom and they're doing the right thing, you got a teacher in there doing something wonderful, we're going to give them a shout out over the intercom to let the whole school know that good things are occurring in that classroom and the students are doing what they need to do. Students of the month pictures will be posted in the hallways. Again, to give a shout out to those kids that are doing everything they need to do. So how does restorative practice play into all this? On page 19, you'll see that even though we still suspend kids for major referrals, the time that's spent out of school has been reduced in most cases. Students that are involved in altercations and fights are made to sit through a conflict resolution session where they focus on the reason for the altercation or the fight. When available, we invite the parents to attend these meetings in conflict resolution. Mr. Landry has sat in on a couple of them and to discuss remedies to the behavior to help come up with alternative disciplines that the students need to understand that if they exhibit the same behavior the second time after that, they won't have the same opportunity or the same leniency. And our MTSS and behavior therapists are also involved in this. Students that exhibit frequent disruptions in class are directed to the mental health therapist, where they enroll them in group sessions that focus on the issues that they're having with behavior. On page 20, again, you'll see what the school needs there. There's 4 teachers. That's not including Ms. Pinkert, which she'll be retiring in January. So that's a math position that we'll need to fill in January. So that's actually 5, 6 teachers. 2 ESE support teachers. We just hired one. He'll start tomorrow. That's Mr. Scott Robertson. He came out today. We're looking forward to having him. Also interviewed another ESE support teacher. We think she may fit the role also. 4 paraprofessionals, 2 custodians, and 2 cafeteria workers. So everybody is feeling the crunch. And that last page there with the pictures there, that's Miss Tipton there, dressing up for the kids, participating there. There's some kids on the bottom with certificates, and Miss Bridges, our new AP, in the middle. She was passing out goodies to the teachers. And those kids there on the right were working on a team building activity with Ms. Kaufman. So, in a nutshell, MCS, Madison County Central Schools presented with some unique challenges that are not really seen on the scale that we see it at Central. We have more of everything, but our teachers, they still come to work, and they still come with the same smile, and they still come with the same attitude that we can still make a difference. We have not given up. We are going to continue to try to correct these behaviors that we're having. They're just more than we're used to. So we're putting some things into place, and I think we're going to see some benefits of the things that we put into place already.
How would you compare that these numbers are compared to this time last year?
Referral-wise, we didn't have 600 referrals last year. I think the number was closer around 300 maybe, about half. I was going to say, this, yeah, and the difference, yeah, we started the year with only 600 kids too. Also, the difference is we're acclimating some new people in new areas. We just got our other dean for elementary, Ms. Anderson. She has stepped in and done a wonderful job to help us with more eyes and more feet on the ground. We moved Ms. Griffin over to middle school to help acclimate Ms. Bridges so that she can have that experience to lean on and ask questions in the process of these things.
Let me ask, did you say something? Oh, I got it.
Feedback or?
I'm getting feedback. Okay. Let me ask you something about teachers. Some teachers have a good control. They have control of their class. They have order. There's no problem. It just comes naturally to them.
Right.
And others, it's a challenge. Anyone that's been teaching for any length of time knows that. You know, you can walk into a classroom and say, this is a wonderfully smooth running class, and others just, they've got problems. What do you do with a teacher like that? In other words, you can sit down and talk to them, but I don't know if that would, you know, what do you think would be a good, because I don't think academics are going to improve until we get the discipline under control.
Right, you're right. So, like I said, one of the things is to try to improve the eyes on that classroom. If we've identified a teacher that's struggling with classroom management, we're trying to put more, the dean will spend more time in there. I'll go sit in the classroom sometimes. The APs will spend more time in that classroom. But that doesn't alleviate the situation. So again, we're going to have some classroom management training coming up and how to deal with difficult students, because even our veteran teachers are experiencing frustration with some behaviors.
I know. You're right. I mean, every teacher has experienced it at one time or another, or every year there might be something or other.
Right.
But
it's some behaviors that
And
that are-
it seems like, you can go to it, you can provide training, but then the teachers have to go back and implement it.
Exactly.
So and not for everybody. Everybody doesn't need all this one-on-one stuff, but some of these teachers may need it. So there should be maybe someone go into the classroom and demonstrate.
Well, that's where we're also using our instructional coach.
Right.
Okay, well, that's what I was, getting
Oh,
at. In
yeah,
other
I'm
words,
sorry, yeah.
because and it's not, nothing negative, it's just that that's not, and they're probably super teachers, but I don't see how you can teach when you have a lot of problems, with,
Yeah.
Thank you, Ms. Kaufman. That's why we got a great team here. Mr. Vayu, who's our instructional coach, is working with those teachers one-on-one in addition to us putting eyes on them. So certain teachers may have what we call coaching plans, or things that they need to work on paper, that they've made part of their DPPs, for example, is to improve or attend classes in classroom management, maybe.
has it helped them?
Some it has,
Yeah.
but again, like I said, some of the newer teachers that are coming in, it's like, I don't want to say come into a hornet's nest, but like when they come in, it takes longer when you come into a class that's already there and school
Oh,
has
yeah.
already started.
You're right.
So some of our teachers are having that struggle too, so.
Yes. Well, I'm just throwing out a suggestion, because actually it was you that said there's such problems there 2 weeks ago, and this is why we're here today. So I'm thinking, evidently you see a problem.
I use the word challenges.
Well, okay.
There are challenges.
Challenge,
there.
right, okay.
Yeah. The kids, we have kids, kindergartners, first graders, that hadn't even been to school. So we're still trying to figure it out. We're still trying to deal with those behaviors. When kindergartners come to school and they don't understand how the school day goes or things of that nature. So we have veteran teachers, for example, still trying to figure that part out. Those are the challenges that I'm talking about. Those, and that's why when I posted that, I opened it up for dialogue for people to talk back to me, which, a lot of them did. And it was a good conversation piece. So, and I ended that conversation with, once we are allowed to have parents back out at the school, I invited parents to come out to the school to spend some time with us and the kids and see how things are working. And we've had a few parents come out and take us up on it.
And I think I've said this before. As a matter of fact, I was reading something here today, and I wrote this down, how to let the parents know as soon as possible if there's a problem. And not every parent will be on board, I know that. But, in other words, they may not realize that there's a problem with their child in school. And once you sit down and talk to them, that.
According to your numbers, there's 4, 6, there's 10, you're missing 10 sets of eyes, or 6 teachers, 4 paras.
Right.
How many kids out there?
909, I think. Well, I went through, if you look at Skyward, because Skyward will still show you numbers with kids that haven't been taken out. So I went through homeroom students that have been showing up, and they're right about 901.
So pretty much you're going in the right direction, you just need more eyes and hands.
I think that would push us over the hump. But those are things that we can't control. We're out there beating the bushes. I was running late because I was on the phone with a support facilitator doing a background check, trying to get somebody hired. So
That's hard because it's a shortage all over the state of Florida. I mean, you talk to other districts and they've got the same problem.
yeah.
For example, like this morning, instead of me being in the classroom where I would have liked to have been and checking on, making sure I'm visible and helping the teachers out, I go into the one kindergarten classroom that doesn't have a teacher in it yet. I have a para in there trying to teach the lessons. I have a kindergarten teacher trying to help her support her the best she can. Well, then I ended up just staying and basically helping teach the lesson. So an hour later, where I was going to go in and do some observations, I was going to go help with those other needy classrooms, I was in a classroom teaching reading this morning.
So y'all
So
are,
we all have to jump in and we have to do what we have to do.
so you're spread it thin, trying to make sure
Exactly.
everything is grant right.
We start at 6:15 in the morning trying to cover subs and trying to figure out, okay, well, who do we have in this spot, who do we have in that spot? And I was on the computer last night at 11 o'clock looking at who else is called in, who else, who are we going to cover? We were talking in a meeting this morning, and it's like, okay, well, 11:15, these kids come back for PE, this teacher's gotten sick, now what are we gonna do?
Right.
What are we gonna do now that this teacher's leaving? We don't have anybody left to cover. And so Mr. Williams said, okay, well, I can go down and cover ISS, I'll send the ISS teacher over to that classroom, I'll cover ISS. Yolanda says, well, I can cover it from this time. Friday, I covered it for an hour and a half. Yeah, Mr. Williams, we all took turns covering ISS, because if you don't have the staff, you've got to, the kids have to be supervised. And so there's no option but for us to go in there and teach the class or do whatever we have to help out.
And it's hard to fix problems when you don't have the tools to use.
Yeah.
What, even if Central was almost all the way staffed, if 4 people call in or 3 people call in, that's something that we have to run around and try to fix. If we have all of our paras on duty, then that's not so much of an issue. But since we have a lack of paras and a lack of teachers, that leaves us running around, and a lot of times, us covering classes. But I mean, like I said, that's what we have to do at Central in order for us to keep it moving.
How many people are averaged out a day,
How many people average out a day?
are absent?
Well, like I said, we have those 2 that are still recovering from their COVID issues. So if I had to put an average on it, 8 maybe. Well, if you take a special Thursday or special Friday, some Fridays we've had 20 people out. Some Fridays we've had up to 21 people out. So 8 to 10 people is not uncommon.
So an average is 8 to 10,
I'd say about 8 to 10. Maybe.
up to 21?
I know that Central's facing great challenges. I mean, our district faces a lot of challenges, and that school was the biggest school, so of course there's more challenges there than whatever. But we get calls, or I don't know about other board members, I get calls from parents, staff, faculty, with specific concerns. And sometimes they seem like they're putting you down because they don't understand why that is happening. They just know it's happening. I mean, you got a shortage, you got to do whatever. They don't understand why. But as a board member, we sometimes get a rosy picture. We need to be told the problems and what's happening, so maybe we can help you. If we can't, we should sure understand and sympathize with you.
And you could always volunteer to sub for a day. There's some things.
I mean, if it's not going well, tell us, this is not going well, help me.
Okay.
And we'll do what we can do to help you if there's anything we can do. We set the policies, we set the discipline grid and stuff, but we can't go out to the schools and do things. But if we need to change something or do something, we need to be doing that. But you got to tell us what the problem is, what you need help with. That's not putting you down. That is getting help for what you need.
I think one of the things that you may want to consider is I don't know that you can staff Central the same way you staff the regular, your staffing allocation. I know it depends on students and student population and things of that nature, but Central's just different. The clientele's different, and the issues are way more than what they are in other places.
And I understand that.
So-
And even if we looked at doing that, that could help if we can get the people.
Well, I totally agree with that. I'm beating down the bushes every day, looking on the website, trying to see if somebody applied. I'm sending out emails and phone calls to people I've never met before.
But, I mean, we're willing to look at whatever can be looked at that we can do to help, if it can be done. I mean, we can't make people come to work for us if they don't want to come, The absenteeism, I don't know, sometimes at some schools, I've dealt with many different schools in this, not just this district, but another district through, I don't want to say that I started to work for the system 45 years ago. But there's, you can't get people to come when they won't come. But there's some schools that do better with retaining the people and coming to work. Just because you got a headache sometimes in the morning, You know, I went to school lots of times, take some aspirin, go with a headache. Now, I don't want anybody to come that's really sick. No, don't come if you're really sick, stay home. But, you know, some people just say, well, I think I feel bad today.
I'll be the first one to say that Central's not perfect.
Oh, that's everywhere. That's just,
We have some issues, but I don't want y'all to think that the building's on fire and the walls are falling down.
right, but I know that some schools did incentives for people that had no absentees or less than this many absentees and stuff. At the end of the year, you would be rewarded in some way, you know.
We did that last year. We had a large prize give out, and we're in the process of collecting those prizes to give out again at hopefully the faculty holiday meeting. If we can, if things stay like they're going now, we could have a holiday meeting.
People like money.
Yeah.
What would you say is your biggest challenge there that you would like to see? And I know you need people. I'm looking at the class size, though. You don't have large classes there. You've got an average of 22, 20, 19, 20, 16. In other words, we can't say that the classes are overloaded.
On some there's 26 in the class.
Oh,
Sixth grade
that's
is,
right, 'cause this is an average.
yeah, sixth grade and kindergarten
Okay,
is
so
by far the worst.
They're the worst. Okay.
Yeah. But other than that, I mean, I think we can manage.
Well, like Mr. Alfred asked you where the problem was, you said PE or the classroom.
Right.
So I think, I hate to say this, but the classroom is run by the teacher. I don't care what school you're talking about. I mean, the teacher runs the classroom.
Right.
And she sets the rules. Now, that doesn't mean you're going to have perfect kids. We know that. But it's just, I still say, I'm wondering if the teachers, not as a group, but maybe individually, need more support. I don't mean by throwing another person there. I mean, because for years you can go, we've gone without aides. You know, that's not a complete, it's nice to have them, but it's not a necessity. But I'm wondering if we should just target those teachers that really have a problem. And anyone that's been, I know a couple of people in here who've been at the high school, and there was teachers that just didn't have a good handle on discipline.
Yeah,
In every school.
Yeah, we have Ms. Vayu that are working with those individual teachers that have been, we have some
Did
teachers
she
that are.
demonstrate or sit down and say, this might be a good way to do it, and that's not? And I'm just throwing this out, you know, I'm not.
One of the issues I've seen over the years is the teachers, in my opinion, who have the best control are the ones who establish routines from day one. And the kids know what to expect, and it's very established. And the ones who struggle are the ones without the routines. If you were to go in a classroom and there's chaos, the ones who have routines, you can hear a pin drop in there. The ones who don't, it's chaos.
Well, that's where Mr. V is going in and working with those teachers to help establish those routines, set the expectations in the class, making sure that that person is doing what they have talked about, doing follow-up and, you know, observation to see, and then step in and help wherever he can.
That's the same principle that Mr. Alford just said that happens at PE too. If you have, we're going to do this week, and this is whatever we got, you know, and it's very structured. Kids, you can manage a larger number of kids as opposed to free time. Kids do not handle free time very well.
Agreed.
And those teachers that are being worked with, they know that they've been assigned, we have assigned Mr. V to them because we submit a form to the district office. The district office knows it. We talk to the teacher before we send Mr. V in there. So the whole process, they know that we have noticed that they have some struggles in the classroom, and we're implementing this to try to help them grow and become better and set those expectations in the classroom.
And I understand what you're saying about having structure in PE, but when you got 50 students with one individual watching 50 students, and you're playing basketball, only so many could be on the court, so many could be on the football field. There's
Who's
still,
watching the other
who's
ones?
watching the other one? So, I mean, I don't know what you could put in place as a game or something structured out there in PE in order to cover 50 students.
Try those 100 kids with 2 adults when you're kindergarten, first grade.
See, that's a lot. So we need more eyes and hands out there in order to manage that.
And those parents that
So-
we had scheduled to go out there with those kids for kindergarten, first grade, now those parents are in a classroom substituting.
Because you're short.
We don't have anybody to cover that classroom, So we have to pull that parent to go, well, then they're missing their PE time.
And when they're younger, there are more disciplinary problems because there's more,
They just
more,
get into all
get
kinds
into
of stuff.
stuff.
touch each other all the time, put hands on. So now we have Kelly Services. So now I think the more people that Kelly Services brings aboard, the more of our open vacancies we can fill with people through Kelly Services. I just got a call today. One of our former paras is now with Kelly Services. So now that we can use her we can use her pretty much every day until we can get that position hired. So that's another part of the plan, is to try to put some of those Kelly Services people in place to help us with the other eyes. We need Kelly Services to hire some more people too, so it's all over.
I also like
It's
the
all over
incentives
there.
that y'all giving the kids. I think that's a very positive outlook for them, something they can look forward to that'll probably control some of the behaviors
Yeah, we
at
don't
some
want,
point or another.
yeah, we don't want to leave the teachers out either.
And the
So
teachers.
We're like Ms. Bridges was going around giving out treats. We don't have a whole lot of money to give them, but we at least try to show them that we love them.
Right.
And I think they know that. So,
Everybody want to be shown that they're appreciated from time to time.
Right,
For sure.
right.
Where are you seeing academically where we're at compared to this time last year?
This time last year it was kind of tough to measure because we had all those, so many kids in virtual, and then the kids that came back. The kids that came back quite naturally did better than the kids we got in the second half of the year, which most of those kids missed a large part of instruction when they were home. A lot of them didn't do well. Not attributed to a large number of retainees. Even though we offered summer school, a lot of them didn't come. So we have a large number of retainees because of that, which is why we're focusing our Bronco time on those interventions and things that they need for that time. But we still got to focus on the on grade level stuff too. So as far as this year and pockets and areas like 6th grade, 7th grade, they're looking better. They started better. So we expect bigger things to come from them. 7th grade last year was a low group. We still expect more gains from them because they started, it looks bad, but they started in a decent place. And I think with the implementation of the Avid strategies, they'll learn a lot more and a lot quicker. That group, 3rd grade, 4th grade. Let me back up. Last year, I moved some teachers around because I felt like the lower grades needed strengthening. So I put a lot of our stronger teachers in the lower grades, kindergarten, 1st and 2nd grade, and 3rd grade. Well, we had to plan for 4th and 5th grade to be strengthened also, but then this teacher quit, or this teacher didn't come, or now we're struggling with 5th grade, trying to fill those positions.
Where in 4th and 5th grade, I remember last year on the FSA, those were low proficiency in both reading and math.
Right.
So you're saying the green is proficient?
Predicted. Yeah.
What extra is being done at that level to bring those students up?
Those are the kids getting you have the tier 3 kids, which are most of those red kids in the red. You have targeted instruction during intervention time, the Bronco time, to try to work with those kids and those deficiencies during that time. Every grade level, every student has a chance for intervention.
Do we have any sort of pull-out for level 1s or?
That would be happening more if we had all of our support staff, but we're pulling out with the ones that we can, some of them. Ms. Antrosky and
But
Ms.
are you
Ann.
saying that the intervention is just the Bronco time, or do we have another support in place for like a remedial time? Instead of maybe going to PE, they would go to like reading or math? Is there another?
At the teacher's discretion, they do keep some kids in from PE.
But there's not a person that's doing remediation.
During intervention time?
I mean, above and beyond the Bronco time.
Oh,
Is that your only intervention for people who are below grade level?
right now until we work after-school tutoring out.
addition with reading during intervention time, they're having to have a teacher that is reading endorsed. So we're making sure that each child that is a level tier 2, which is the yellow, which means they're 1 year behind, they're having to get intervention. Then the red or 2 or more years behind, those kids we're making sure that they're getting the adequate amount of intervention time during that time in small groups, using the Love and Literacy program, trying to put everybody in there that we can, especially in that 4th and 5th grade. Lack of people. Sorry.
So what we've done during Bronco Time, because we have so many kids that are tier 2 and tier 3, for 4th and 5th grade, we've broken down into groups where we are pulling myself, a parent, as well as some of our fabulous teachers in the back. So for our kids who are currently on level, we have the teachers who are not reading endorsed, they're doing interventions with those kids. For the students who are tier 2 and tier 3, we have about 8 in each group. And so the teachers pull those students, and we're all in the classroom. And so there's about 8 in a small group. And so based on their rating, the teachers and as well as myself, we pull the information from the teacher toolkit. So let's say if the kids are weak in phonics, we pull the phonics activities from the teacher toolkit, give it to the teacher. So during small group intervention time, they work with those 8 students on phonics. If it's a group that needs vocabulary, they work with those 8 kids on vocabulary. So we try to break it down to as small a group as possible for those tier 2 and tier 3 kids.
And when we see those struggles, they go get a request for assistance to be referred to the SIT team so that we can start a process of looking at their struggles, putting things in place, making an intervention plan for them. The teachers are tracking their interventions because are they struggling because it's a lack of experience, or are they struggling because they have a learning disability? You can't say they have a learning disability if they haven't had the experience. And so that's the first step we have to do is to see, we've got to make sure they're given the experience and the opportunity that they need to see if they can make some progress. And so we take them through the SIT process and make sure that they're getting everything that they need, and increasing the intensity, increasing the days of the week, increasing the time if we need to based on how they're doing.
Okay, now getting back to the Bronco Time, doesn't that take place at the same time every day in every
Same time
class?
every day, yes, ma'am.
So how are you drawing all these different people to come into the classes?
Well, each grade level has a different time. So for instance,
Oh.
4th and 5th grade is from 2:05 to the end.
Oh, so it's not the same time? Okay,
Everybody has different
okay.
time. And so one of the incentives that the district has put in place is teachers who want to help during Bronco Time. You want to talk about that, Ms. Lee?
You're doing well.
So one of the incentives that we put in place is for some of those re-endorsed teachers, if they're willing to give up their plan period, they're going to come also and teach a small group during intervention time for us as well, and they'll be paid for that as well. And so we've had some teachers that have been interested and say, well, hey, I'll give up my plan period, I'll come and I'll help 4th and 5th grade out doing small group intervention. And then so what we decided, if the teacher is willing to help, we pull all the materials that the teacher needs and we provide them with all of a list of names of kids and what they need to work on. And so all I have to do is teach that lesson.
Okay, now could a volunteer do this?
As soon as we can have volunteers back in the classroom.
Yeah, well, I was wondering if, because a good volunteer is worth their weight in gold, for sure. Okay.
I know that our time is about up. The one thing that I still am curious about is what has Ms. Bray recommended and what we're doing as a district to make sure that the reading is being taught with fidelity and that grading is being given with fidelity. So where we're not having all these students on the honor roll and then it comes up time for FSA and we have 5% proficient.
And the point with students on the honor roll and the now equal to proficiency, in other words, if I make a B in all my classes, I should be able to pass the FSA. So to rectify that, we have gone to standards-based teaching, so everything's based on standards. And then standards-based assessments. So those kids are taking assessments through USA Test Prep or things of that nature. Those are FSA-type questions that they're being assessed on. So that's the way we're attacking the grading. I agree that a child should not have all A's or A's and B's and then not be able to pass the FSA, because that signifies that the correct teaching isn't going on. Also, at the beginning of the year, part of our training, part of our focus was that the teachers understood matching a task to a standard. You could teach a standard but not understand the task that goes to it, so you're just teaching and the kids don't understand what's going on. So we focused on that, so making sure one just does a good job laying it out for us also, so that takes away part of the work. Teachers just have to be diligent as far as testing based on the standards.
I do feel for the teachers. Wonders is a very difficult reading program to try to figure out. And I mean, it's very hard for them, and I feel for them in trying to do it, and I just,
Well, we're lucky in the fact that Miss Kara Washington works with us for
Right.
reading as well. And so she's gotten very proficient on that program, and she jumps in there and helps and does whatever she possibly can. So I want to say Ms. Washington's a big help in
Yeah,
that.
she's a
area.
wonderful.
but it would be a new
resource.
program to her also.
It is, but she's really been digging into it and doing a lot of training on her own to try to figure it out.
And we
And,
had training.
Yeah, she's also attended more trainings
Yeah.
than the teachers have been able to.
and she's been in contact a lot with Miss Bray as far as getting to understand what Miss Bray wants and then working it back to the school.
So Carol's, she's heading our literacy team, which is, we're going to be working with Ms. Gray and that also. So they work pretty closely.
Yeah, Miss Bray's a wonderful woman. I'd asked for her to come to the district, to come to Central back with Miss Hill. And I think she was just at the high school to start with. Is there any other questions? Our board meeting needs to start probably now. Is there any other questions by the?
No more questions, but I want to tell you, I appreciate you and your staff and y'all dedication to our students here in the county.
Thank you, we appreciate
We
that.
appreciate that. Say we've worn out some shoes running around, but we appreciate the steps.
And I just want to say that as a board, we voted on the code of conduct, and I've heard like from teachers it be said that we're not backing up and sending kids home. Well, you know what? We haven't had any students come before us. You can look back at past data and expulsions or sent home. Any student who comes before this board has had consequences. So for that to be said by anyone, that's really unfair. And the other thing I've heard is that it's been said to not write people up. If someone is not following the code of conduct, they should be written up. It should be documented for future references if something were to happen.
I think if I could throw this out there, there's a need for an alternative program for K to 5. We have, when you have a fourth grader or a fifth grader that just continues to get in trouble, we continue to send them home. Do we want to expel them, or do we want to try to give them an alternative route?
Well, that's where I think it's essential that we document exactly what's all going on so you have a clear picture at the end of the road when we go to make that decision, because it's not fair to us when students arrive before us and there's no documentation spelling out what has happened the past 2 years or 3 years. I do think that it should be you should, and I understand that, sometimes teachers feel bad for the kid and they don't want to write up, but you do need to document everything of what's happening. In that, we created the code of conduct for schools to follow.
Okay.
And that's the plan that the board has voted on to follow. And again, that would be a decision that the board would have to make financially, because when you start talking about a program for K through 5, that's a financial addition to the district that at this point, we don't have the money to do that. I'm not speaking for Ms. Joseph, but you're talking about a big amount of money that would go out for a program like that. So with that being said, thank you for coming. I do, yeah, I know. Thank you for coming, and any additional information that you feel that we would need, please send us any additional information concerning discipline. I know that the high school does a really nice job of sending us weekly bulletins, and he posts his discipline numbers in the bulletin for us. If you could do that, that would be nice, to give us an idea of where we have a snapshot of what's happening.
Okay? I can make that happen.
Okay, at this time, we will end this part of the workshop, and we will go to the school board meeting because we're actually over.
Thank you, Roland.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank all of y'all.
Thank y'all.
Thank you.
About that order now. When?
What is not in the top?
Ask Ms. Bishop.
It's at the, as you enter the room to the left.
Hot seat. Exactly for you.
Let Mr. Reeves in.
My chair.
I would like to welcome each of you to the November the 4th school board meeting of the Madison County School Board. The school board meeting is officially called to order. The school board meeting is an advertised meeting held in the public, not a public meeting. We have a set advertised agenda that will be followed. Anyone wishing to address the board may do so during public input section of the meeting. You will have 3 minutes to address the board. The sign-in sheet to speak during public input is on the table to the left as you enter the boardroom. Please sign in if you wish to speak. Our school board minutes are being recorded this evening by Ms. Bishop, the confidential secretary and superintendent to the secretary to the superintendent. Board members present are Mr. Carroll, Ms. Bell, Ms. Gibson, Ms. Williamson, and myself, Bart Alford. Our attorney is present, Mr. Reeves, and of course, Ms. Joseph, our superintendent. At this time, again, welcome. If everyone would please stand for a moment of silence and the Pledge of Allegiance. Okay, if we'll proceed with the pledge. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, again, I would like to welcome each of you here tonight. The agenda is being amended at this time. The financial report is being moved to 5.6 under individual consent. It's through October the 27th, 2021. The draft with Regions Bank is being moved to 5.7. School volunteers is being moved to 5.8, and allowing volunteers back in the school is being moved to 5.9. That was from last meeting for us to discuss this meeting of having volunteers back in the school. So 5.6 is the financial report through October the 27th. 5.7 is the draft with Regions Bank. 5.8 is school volunteers, and 5.9 is allowing volunteers back in the school. Okay, at this time, we will open it for public comment. The first person to speak is Ms. Hicks over bargaining issues.
Good evening. I'm Colette Hicks, the president of the Madison County Education Association. I want to address some things that were said at a meeting last week about the union. We've been blamed for lack of salary increases, the steps not being given out. I've heard rumors that it was also said that we don't care about non-instructional folks because we're mostly teachers on the bargaining unit, and that's absolutely not true. Let me tell you what we've been doing so that you understand, and I want everybody to be able to hear this. We've been working really hard, and it's really upsetting when we hear over and over and over again that the union's at fault, and it's not true. So let's go to the truth. This is what we've been working on for the last year. We have read, reviewed, and corrected both collective bargaining agreements, worked on the non-instructional salary schedule to include the $10 an hour required by the minimum wage law, added a few cents to each step so the steps won't be compressed for 10 years, so they won't be making the same amount of money for 10 years. Asked for pay differentiation for non-instructional employees and based on job title, years of experience, and advanced degrees for their position. Worked on the instructional salary schedule to include the TSA money and the step increase. Asked for a $1,000 COVID stimulus check for non-instructional and instructional personnel who did not receive a check from the governor. We've asked for paid COVID days for everyone who either gets COVID or is quarantined. We've negotiated for both instructional and non-instructional personnel to the best of our ability. We have worked on all of these things, yet there are some things we cannot do. For example, we have been asked why we cannot just ratify the new dollar amounts for the ESP salary schedules. One, this is a full book negotiation, meaning the entire collective bargaining agreement is open to changes, not just to a select few as outlined in the terms of the agreement. Two, the dollar amounts are not the only item in the ESP salary schedule. There are 5 sections to the ESP salary schedule dealing with dollar amounts, placement of new employees on the salary schedule, the experience conversion chart, and automatic steps. The entire salary schedule must be ratified at the same time. We cannot ratify just one section of the collective bargaining agreement if there may be changes in other sections, and definitely not just the salary dollar amounts total. So we cannot do that. Everybody asks us that, and we're like, we can't. We have to do it all together. All this work has been held up, though, because of the insistence on the board to remove the automatic step increase from the collective bargaining agreement. You're asking us to give up the only assurance that we currently and will ever have to get a raise. We have had to threaten agreements in the past to get our automatic step increase when it was in the collective bargaining agreement, and you want us to agree to have it permanently removed now? This is something we cannot do. We're some of the lowest paid districts in the state, and one thing that we have going for us is the automatic step. You asked on the last school board meeting why so many employees are leaving the district. Well, many feel overworked and underpaid. We've been working diligently, especially these last few years during COVID, and not only do we most often not get a thank you, I did hear one tonight, but more normally we don't get thank yous, and you want to take away our only chance to get a step raise.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Rebecca Gonzalez.
Hi.
Let me.
Okay, sorry.
Sorry. Okay, you may begin. Oops.
Almost. I've heard in previous board meetings when you've said, we don't know unless you come to us and tell us. And I'm telling you, and collectively, all of us here are saying that we want to keep the step increase. There have been, as you were talking with Rod, there's a lot of teachers who have left, and one thing for the people who are staying is to, first of all, rectify the steps where they are. If you get a new hire, you give them year for year experience. There are teachers who have been here for 36 years and are retiring this year, and they still are not on their correct step. So when you're looking at how do you make the people who work for you feel appreciated, if you're willing to do that for people who you don't know will stay with you, you should do it for the people who have stayed with you for multiple years. Anyway, collectively, the union is saying, we want the step. Please do not take that away from us. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you. Okay, the next person, Mr. Elijah Davis.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening. Let me start the.
I'm the head custodian at Pinedale Elementary. And I'm standing for all custodians, head custodians as well. As for myself, I have tried and tried to get my salary straight ever since I took the head custodian job at Pinedale, which has been about 6 years, and I failed to do so. And I ran upon a problem where the district took 44 hours from me, and I would like to know why. Now, someone need to tell me why, and someone need to help me get my salary straight, and help us, as being custodians, get what we rightfully deserve. Our job is hard. Mine is hard. Mr. Johnson's job is hard, and I don't mind doing my job. But give us what we rightfully deserve. And I said to the board, we are getting pennies while everybody else is making decent money. And I would love for the board and whoever that's in charge to give us what we rightfully deserve. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Davis. You would need to go and speak with Ms. Joseph concerning, or personnel concerning the hours. I mean, the board wouldn't know about that, but.
I think the board should know.
But I mean, personnel would be who would handle that.
It doesn't matter. I think the board should know.
The next, Terry Johnson.
Good evening. I'm here on behalf of the custodian. I'm here for non-instructionals. And it behooves me that a few years ago that the compression wave, that scale was removed from the instructional, but it was left on top of the non-instructionals. I understand that the district saying that it's the union said that it's the district, but now we both are here at the same time. And I just want to know, Mr. Arthur, I hope that you could help us. I live in District 5. There's a few more here in District 5. Yes. And I hope that you may be able to influence somebody to help. Like you said, our job is hard. Don't mind doing it. I've been doing it for 23 years, so you know I don't mind. And me, Mr. Davis, Cleo Brown, Tusi Powell, we cleaned 3 outlying schools this year. And I thank you for that, Ms. Joseph. But never got an appreciation for it. Well, we did. Ms. Tina Young cooked for us when we went to Greenville. Right. That's the only appreciation. Thank you for that. But this compression scale need to be moved. We need to be paid like everybody else. I understand your salary comes from the state. I understand that. But most of you, when you're sworn in, I'm an elected official too. But most of you, when you're sworn in, y'all check is bigger than ours from the swearing in. And we've been here years and don't get it. And that's what I mean. I don't get it. And we should be getting it. So we need help. We non-instructionals, bus drivers, paras, custodians, and cafeteria workers. We need help. Our bread costs just as much as yours. So I don't want to say shame on you, but shame on you.
Thank you. Jennifer Fulmer with the bus drivers.
Evening. The wheels on the bus are not the only thing going round and round. The school board members are wanting to do away with the salary steps. They are the ones going round and round on this topic. We are here to say this will not happen. So this is why nothing has been solved or updated in the new contract agreements or the language. This is not the union that has not been doing nothing. I have notes and minutes that we've been working on with the district and everything since January, so I know what's been done. I was informed that the bus drivers have not got their step raise or any other raise for field trips or routes because I, as the building rep, have not asked. So here I am to ask. Can I go ahead and say thank you now? I'm sure, and we will keep asking for the field trips and raises and everything with the union. I also did my homework, and I know that we're one of the lowest paid drivers in our surrounding counties. We need a reason to stay. No matter how much heart and passion we have for our job in this community, it doesn't help us pay our bills, prices on insurance, gas, and groceries. Our gas, we pay the same price as y'all. We deal with double routes, double loads, less than adequate buses, and amounts of buses to do our jobs with. Parents yelling and cussing us out about designated stops, designated times, what their child did or did not do on the bus to get referrals, etc. The invitation was given a few years back to school board members, coaches, and teachers alike to please come get CDL trained. To this day, we have one coach, that's also a teacher, that has attempted to start his training. That tells me exactly what I don't see every day at the transportation office, a line for applications for school bus drivers. We're asking for an hour-a-day raise for bus drivers for their regular routes. Field trips, don't even get me started. We're asking for our regular salary for field trips per hour. We have full buses. We will have as many as 4 classes on our buses. Parking issues, traffic issues, paying for food and admissions at the destinations, $10 is nearly not enough. We are asking for our regular pay for field trips. For extra knowledge, we're aware of the 12% fund balance when only 3% is required. So tell us publicly why we can't get a raise and a bonus as the teachers did. How many of you called the rope to the governor to fight for us janitors, cafeteria employees, and bus drivers to also get the bonus? Explain how anyone other than a bus driver has a reason to do their job if no bus drivers do not run their routes and bring the children to the schools to be fed, cleaned up after, or taught. The wheels on the bus can't go round and round without drivers. Drivers are losing their desire and drive without the pay to show appreciation for our dedication and drive to transport students. Our passion ain't paying the bills. My homework I also did was to be aware of and share the salaries of school board members here in our surrounding counties. Did you know that Madison County school board members are the 3rd highest paid in our surrounding counties as of 2018? Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, that concludes the public input at this time. Okay, we will now move to the consent items. 4.1. 4.1 are the minutes from October the 18th, 2021. 4.2 is the National School Lunch Program Equipment Grant. It simply is a statement saying that it shall end the 30th day of September 2022, page 1, paragraph 6. 4.3 is fundraisers. Greenville Elementary School's Fall Festival is 11/12/2021. The time of it is from 12:30 till 3. Madison County Central School Mom fundraiser, the pickup is November the 4th. It's $5 a flower for the moms. They come in 8-inch pots. It's gold, rust, and purple. Those are the items for individual consideration. Any item do you wish to be pulled for further comment? I would like to pull the Greenville's Fall Festival for further comment. So that would be, we can do a 5.10. Okay, so we will be voting on items 4.1, the minutes from October the 18th, 2021, 4.2, the National School Lunch Program Equipment Grant, and the fundraiser at Madison County Central School for the mom fundraisers. Is there a motion to approve the consent items?
I move to approve the consent items.
It's been properly moved by Ms. Gibson. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Williamson. Any discussion?
I'd like to ask a question about Madison County Central's. Is this fundraiser still going on?
Yes, ma'am.
Because it's the first I had heard about it.
We have some flyers at the front desk at Central School. And
Okay.
so if you're interested in some beautification for your own home or your families or friends, please stop by the office. We also posted it on Facebook and Dojo. We're going to put a thing, we've sent out flyers to every car and parent drop-off. We sent home flyers with all the kids. A very good opportunity to beautify your home for the holidays.
But it expires on the 4th though, right?
The flowers will be delivered either probably on Wednesday. And so we're trying to do pre-orders so that when they arrive on Wednesday, we'll be ready to deliver on Thursday.
So when is the
Get them while
cutoff?
they're here because they're going quick.
When is the cutoff for, because it didn't say on the
You
sheet.
can order up till Thursday when they get here. And I believe on Thursday, we're also having a thing at the courthouse.
Yes. We have a booth at the courthouse. So,
With the moms at the courthouse?
Yes,
Oh,
ma'am.
okay, thank you.
Only the leftovers.
Only the
Only
leftovers.
leftovers, okay.
Yeah.
You want the good color.
If you want the good colors, order ahead of time.
I'll see you after the
Say, may
meeting.
I say something about this?
Yes, ma'am.
We'd like to thank some lady out of Quincy for giving Central School 500 moms for they can sell, and they keep 100% of the profit. It's someone Ms. Raynack gave us, connected us with. And so someone was gracious enough to give them these moms to help with their.
Farming for the future. Farming for the
Farming for the
future.
future.
Farming for the future, okay.
And our flyer is included in the minutes. So it's posted on board docs.
Okay. Any more discussion? Any more discussion? All those in favor of the consent items, please show a hand. 5-0, Ms. Bishop, for approval for the consent items. Okay, 5.1, personnel changes. Mr. Killingsworth?
Good evening.
Good evening.
This evening, we have 2 instructional employees, one at Central, one at high school, 2 non-instructional employees, one at Central, one at Greenville, that we'd like to recommend. Then we have, as you can see, the employees for either resignation, termination, or retirement before you, and then we have a few that are under family medical leave. that we will have at this time.
Okay, is there a motion to approve the consent items? Or, I'm sorry, the personnel items? Sorry.
Make the motion to approve the personnel changes.
By Ms. Pinker, you got 1/7/2021. I think that's a typo, it's supposed to be
2022.
20, it is.
Okay.
And he's got that blank spot by Bobby Pinkett. Should that be FMLA also?
She hasn't put that down. It's maternity, but if she changes it, it would be.
The BD anything down there?
It is saying 2022 on the computer. Okay, so is there a motion for the personnel changes? Has it been,
I move to approve the personnel changes.
okay, it's been properly moved by Ms. Gibson. Is there a second?
Second.
By Ms. Bell. Any discussion?
I've got a comment to say there. I would like to thank Dr. Burns, he's a vice chancellor, for expediting some of these certificate requests, because I called the office and they told me it could take up to 45 days, and I talked with him and I got an answer in less than 1 day.
That's very good.
Yeah, we do appreciate that. And I want to state that we have hired a band director as of after we take this vote at the high school, and we really do appreciate Mr. Hicks and Ms. Dorsey for what they've done. So far this school year, the band went to MPA last weekend in Tallahassee, did really well. They haven't had a band camp. They did really well to have a substitute being the band director. So we really appreciate Mr. Jay Hicks and Ms. Sandy Dorsey for what they've done. Okay, if there's no further discussion, it's been properly moved by Ms. Gibson, seconded by Ms. Bell. All those in favor, show a hand, please, for approval. 5-0, Ms. Bishop, for approval of personnel changes.
Thank you.
Thank you. 5.2, field trip request. We have Greenville Elementary requesting on December the 10th, 2021, to go to AMC theaters in Tallahassee for all their students from 9:15 to 2 to see Encanto, a Disney movie. Pinetta Elementary is requesting on November the 9th to go to Aunt Louisa's farm. It's pre-K through second grade. It's 73 students and 10 chaperones are going. And those are the 2 field trips. Is there any discussion about, the one discussion I have is, in the past with the board, and Ms. Hillmay could speak to this, our field trips had to be tied to standards and educationally relevant. And I don't really know how a movie at the movie theater, I mean, if it were at the IMAX theater and if it was an educational movie on some sort of educational standard that you could tie to a standard in school, I just don't know how this is an educational event. I know it would be socialization, but that's an entire day away from academic instruction for the whole school, not just a class, it's the whole school.
Didn't the sheet form always have a place for you to say what
Yes, ma'am, it
standard?
does have that.
It does have a place, but not, it's just, they didn't put the educational tie to it.
And Ms. Joseph, in her defense, when we did a gender review, I expressed concerns of this. She has reached out to the principal, and as of today, have not heard back from the principal providing how it's educationally relevant. I mean, again, I don't care that any kid goes on any field trip, but I just ask that it be tied to standards or something that's being taught in the classroom. And there's a lot of things that in this area you can go to that would be fun trips for kids that they don't normally get to experience. So by no means do I want people to think that I don't want people to go, but it has to be educationally relevant. And I just don't know that that movie would be. I mean, what do the other board members feel?
Can we, since it's in December, can we
Withdraw.
Absolutely. We've
not vote on this particular one
we've
amount
asked-
so we can? so
We've
maybe she
asked
can
for clarification and haven't
that.
received it. And I want them to go on a field trip. I just don't know that that's a field trip that the entire school of Greenville Elementary School should choose to go to, because there's other things that they could go to that would be things that they're experiencing in the classroom. You have the San Luis Mission in Tallahassee, you have the Junior Museum, you have the Tallahassee Museum of Natural History. There's a lot of the Challenger Center, you have St. Augustine where Lee's going. There's a lot of places around here that students could go to for a field trip that would be educationally relevant. So is it a consent that we want to pull for them to decide something different, maybe?
I know that it's important that we connect everything to educational, but what about behavior in the classroom? Would it be an incentive for good behavior?
For the whole school?
But the whole school is signed up to go.
But I'm just saying, I mean, maybe they didn't have no disciplinary problems in Greenville. We don't know that.
But how would you not know ahead in the future?
I know what you're saying by pulling it, but if it's part of the educational, to me, behavior is part of the educational too, in order to sit there and do what they need to do.
Right, and I understand that. In the past, we have had a policy that, I mean, for a while there, there were no field trips because of the administration at that time felt like we needed to be in school and concentrate solely on academics. And then we went to field trips and they had to be educationally relevant. That's why we went to the educational relevant, because at one point there were no field trips in the district when we were trying to bring up test scores, and I think that's maybe it. Again, I don't care where the students go, I just ask that it may be educationally relevant to where they go. And
She has time to give us supporting documents.
But I mean, that movie may be, I don't know, I don't know what the movie is.
What I'm hearing is that she just needs to give us a rationale for going, and we,
I mean,
she
if
did
that's,
not submit.
if that's board policy, then, I mean, that it be educational relevant, then, you know, unless we change the policy, we don't have to do that.
Well, but again,
what I'm saying is,
But she just did not
she
include
may-
the rationale. That's all we
Right,
asking her
that's
to
all we
include the
asking.
rationale.
and she may can give us some.
So we're gonna pull it into another date?
the one for Greenville is set for December the 10th. So we're going to have another meeting on the 17th that
Okay.
if she can't come up with that, then there's other things that they could do. There's other things that they could go on a field trip that they still could go somewhere. I'm all about people going places that kids normally don't get to go to. For the Pinetta field trip to Aunt Louisa's farm, is there a motion to approve that field trip on November the 9th?
I move to approve Pinetta's field trip to
Aunt Louisa's farm.
Aunt Louise. I wanted to call her a saint. Aunt Louisa's farm.
Okay, it's been properly moved by Ms. Gibson. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Williamson. Any discussion? Okay, if there's no discussion, all those in favor, show of hand. 5-0, Ms. Bishop, for approval for Pinetta to Aunt Louisa's farm, and Greenville can come back to us with their request. 5.3, the instructional continuity plan, Ms. Hill.
Yes, I provided you the instructional continuity plan this past week, or 2 weeks ago, and I am sorry, it was last minute getting it done. This plan, it has been a little bit of a confusing process on what was to go in the instructional continuity plan. This is, Ms. Joseph and I went to a training, and this is the template that they gave us to use. However, we were informed this past week on a conference call that this was not, that this would take the place of a reopening plan, even though this is not a reopening plan. This is what we would do in the case of closing of school if that were to occur again. So anyway, we had a team get together and work on this, and we had some really good ideas that came out of some of these meetings. And so anyway, this is a plan that we could use if we were to have to shut down again, whether it's COVID, whether it's even weather that might last, we might be out for more than a few days. These are things that we would make sure are in place so that our students could continue their education.
Okay. Are there any questions concerning the instructional continuity plan? If there's no question, is there a motion to approve the plan?
I move to approve the plan.
It's been properly moved by Mr. Carroll. Is there a second? Second by Ms. Williamson. Any further discussion?
I was glad that we postponed this because it took a while to go through it, and I took the time to go through it, so thank you for understanding.
Okay, if there's no further discussion, all those in favor of approval of the instructional continuity plan, show a hand, please. 5-0, Ms. Bishop, for approval. 5.4, the Insurance Committee Recommendation Update, Mr. Killingsworth.
The sheet that you have before you is the adjustment with the HIP package plan. Basically, through HUD and the program they did, which was the 394, but they ended up overlooking two aspects of it, the FCLE and the life part, as well as, which was what they needed to add, but also in a couple of the other parts, basically it's a reduction in cost per $1,000 as far as some life insurance policies. But the short version, what that was your contribution of $400 to $423.75 on the HIP plan.
Okay, is there a motion to approve the Insurance Committee Recommendation Update?
I move to approve the Insurance Committee recommendations update.
Okay, it's been properly moved by Ms. Gibson. Is there a second?
A second.
It's been properly moved by Ms. Gibson, seconded by Mr. Carroll. Any discussion? There's no further discussion. All those in favor, show a hand, please. 5-0, Ms. Bishop, for approval of the Insurance Committee Recommendation Update.
Thank you.
Thank you. 5.5, the School Improvement Plan, Ms. Thomas.
Ms. Thomas is not here today, but she took in consideration those questions and concerns that you had about the school improvement plan, and she brought back Pineapple Elementary School Improvement Plan and Madison County Central School Improvement Plan. Pineapple is not, is anybody from Pineapple here? Okay, so those, I have school representatives if you have any questions about anything on the plans.
Does anyone have any questions? No?
I'm fine.
Ms. Williamson, do you have a question? No? Okay, is there a motion to approve the school improvement plans?
I made the motion to approve the school improvement plans.
Okay, it's been properly moved by Ms. Bell. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Gibson. It's been properly moved by Ms. Bell, seconded by Ms. Gibson. All those in favor, show of hand, please. 5-0, Ms. Bishop, for approval. 5.6, the financial report through October the 27th.
Okay, I'll go through those. I can't answer any questions specifically on your plans, but if you have any questions, Ms. Rayneck is going through some personal times right now. You give me the questions, I will get them to you, and I'll get the answers back to you.
Okay, does anyone have any questions for?
I don't.
Okay, if not, is there a motion to approve the financial report?
I move to approve the financial report.
Okay, it's been properly moved by Ms. Gibson. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Williamson. Any discussion? If there's no further discussion, all those in favor, show of hand, please. 5-0, Ms. Bishop, for approval of the financial report through October the 27th, 2021. 5.7 is our draft with Regions Bank.
Okay, Mr. Chair, that's our draft agreement with the Regions Bank for a P card. It will replace our quasi credit card, and Mr. Attorney Reeves have looked at the agreement, and he can discuss that item with us.
Yes, sir. So the agreement they sent us was actually a governmental certificate. It's not an actual agreement. This is just the certificate that says that we're a governmental entity. That makes the interest that would be owed tax exempt, and so that's why they want the governmental certificate. So we don't really have an agreement yet for y'all to look at and approve. What I would recommend is let's don't approve it piecemeal. Let's approve everything at one time. One thing that is of concern to me, though, is on the governmental certificate, they've got a principal amount here of $500,000. That seems a little high for what we were going to do. You want to be very careful when you all approve one of these things, because if you approve a limit of $500,000, that's the amount someone could make a mistake and charge up. And so you really want that to be, I think, a lower amount, at least in the beginning, until you get comfortable with how it's going to be used and what you're going to do for it. You can always amend it later to increase it.
I think maybe while they were, I didn't realize it was going to be that high, but while they were, of some of the, because you get credit points from that with what you pay, and maybe some of with our other vendors, we would pay through that.
Yeah.
And then do a check.
Yeah.
Get bonus points.
You
Maybe
could do that,
that's why it was.
but I don't think $500,000 is a little excessive, even if you did all of our monthly bills. I don't think we get $500,000. I mean, that would be $6 million in monthly bills per year. You know, which it just seems a little high. I think maybe we want to get
How
Ms.
much
Rayneck to
do
give us
you suggest that we,
I'd probably let Ms. Rayneck give us a figure on what would be reasonable to start out.
okay,
And, but yeah, I get that, you know, if we pay the electric bill through that, then we get the cashback rewards and all that sort of stuff. That's just more money in the till, you know, which is a good thing.
that is a lot.
Yeah.
But you don't have an agreement yet, so I think we just need to put it off to the next meeting and ask them for an agreement.
They wanted an attorney opinion statement. Did we get that to them?
No, because I mean, I can certainly do that. The governmental certificate, though, I mean, we need to approve everything at one time.
Okay. Okay.
So whatever they're
I'll have
wanting
her
us
talk
to,
with them. Okay.
whatever they're wanting us to approve, do it at one time. And I've done those opinions before. We do it, I've done them a lot with the county when they borrow money for big pieces of road equipment, that kind of thing. We've done it with
Okay.
the school district when we bought buses.
Okay.
Okay, so we will pull that until maybe the next meeting,
Yes, sir. That'd be my recommendation.
the November, okay. So 5.7 has been pulled for tonight. Okay, the next item, 5.8, is school volunteers. And we have, I think, 3 individuals who were under the school volunteers. Is there a motion to approve the school volunteers?
I'll make the motion to approve the school volunteers.
It's been properly moved by Ms. Williamson. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been properly moved by Ms. Williamson, seconded by Ms. Bell. Any discussion? There's no discussion. All those in favor, show a hand, please. 5-0, Ms. Bishop, for approval. Okay, and 5.10 was the Greenville Fall Festival.
We've got 5.9.
It is,
5.9, allowing the volunteers.
oh, I'm sorry. I skipped right over that. 5.9, allowing volunteers back into the schools. We had talked about this the last meeting, and we wanted to wait and think about it. So I guess we've had time to think. I guess we can go around and just see what's the pleasure of the board. Mr. Carroll, what would you?
I'm good for opening up like it ought to be, as far as I'm concerned.
Okay. Ms. Bell?
I was against it at first because of COVID, but listening to Mr. Williams, it would assist them with having volunteers.
Okay, Ms. Gibson?
I'm for allowing volunteers in the schools.
Okay, and so at this time, is there a motion to approve the volunteers?
I move to approve the volunteers.
It's been properly moved by Mr. Carroll. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Gibson. Any discussion?
I'd just like to say we appreciate our volunteers.
Yeah, we do. Okay, it's been properly moved by Mr. Carroll. It's been seconded by Ms. Gibson. All those in favor, show a hand, please. 5-0, Ms. Bishop, for approval of volunteers back in the school. Okay, onward to 5.10, Greenville Fall Festival. It is scheduled for 11/12/21 from 12:30 to 3. And the concern I have, and Ms. Joseph and I have spoken about this, is, again, Greenville academically is it's a fragile school with fragile learners that need all the instruction they can get at this time. And you would be taking away a half a day of instruction, if not more, because we all know who have worked in schools, when you plan a fall festival, even if it's at 3 o'clock, you're going to spend probably from 12:30 to 3 planning for it. So this is telling me, from my past experience in working in the schools, if it's from 12:30, then whenever you get there, the start of the day, you're going to be working on it, so it's going to be the entire day. Unfortunately, you're going to spend planning. And I don't know in the time past, I don't know that any other school is having it during their school day. I'm all for having a fall festival. I think that's great. I think it's great marketing for the school. It's great for the kids to have that experience, but I personally would like it to be after the instructional day, or at least closer to the end of the instructional day.
Was there a reason they wanted it in? Did they give a reason?
She didn't give a reason.
Don't have to work late.
She said the teachers wouldn't stay, and I suggested she gives them comp time.
I would think later in the afternoon, though, you would get more parent participation, because a lot of parents are at work at that
Parents
time.
in there. Yes.
And you can't charge the students during the school day for activities, not doing instruction.
No, for like the carnival, you couldn't.
Not during the day, you cannot
Right.
charge the kids.
I mean, again, I'm all for carnivals, I'm all for field trips, but at some point, academics have got to be our focus, because come the spring, we're going to have to test, and unfortunately, what we do now is how we prepare for the tests in the spring. And you know, I mean, I know people will say, well, what's one day? But one day, and you add another day, and then another. I mean, we have 2 days right now we're looking at, and just in the first semester, that would be 2 days of instruction. I just think it's something that, yes, ma'am.
Can I speak for Lee School just a moment?
Yes, ma'am.
We had a fall festival, and we did it during their PE. No teachers did it. It was the staff, parapros, they did the booths. Ms. Brown and I also did booths. And so for their 45 minutes, they did fall festival. Nobody paid for anything. We just did prizes and things, but it was just us. Nobody came in. It was only us during that time. The teachers did walk around with their class. And then we stopped at 2:15. And so the last part of the day, we cleaned up, kids were with their teacher. Anyway, but we did that during their PE time instead of doing PE. I don't know that that's their plan, but if she talked with Mandy, then maybe that was her same plan. I don't know.
That's not her thing, okay?
I don't know.
I mean, that's a good plan,
That's a
what
good
you
plan.
had,
Yeah, that's a
what
good
you did. That's a really good plan.
I
And
know other schools that are doing the same thing.
So I don't know if that's what she was planning to do, but it didn't take away from their instruction is what I'm trying to say.
that's, I mean, I would be all for that plan if they do that plan. But I'm a little uncomfortable with knowing that it's 12:30 to 3, and again, unfortunately, in the reality of it, you're going to be spending a couple hours beforehand, somebody will, to set it up. And again, we're looking at scores, and not to belittle anyone or any school, but we're looking at scores that need to improve for this next year, because they will be graded this next year, and we want them to do as best that they can for the kids and to provide the kids all that they can. So again, I don't know, what's the feeling of the board?
I've got a couple ways of looking at it. I liked Lee's idea. I've never heard of it before.
I hadn't either.
I think it's a good idea. But then again, on the other hand, I was going to say I like making it accessible to parents. You know, I mean, it's normally parents enjoy taking their children to fall festivals. And if they would even do it from 3 to 5, you know, just like that extended, that would make, in other words, I like involving the parents in the school activities as much as possible.
I mean, I think it's a great idea, and I think that in reading it was for a fundraiser. I mean, wasn't that the reason?
I think we'd probably raise more money if you did it from 3 to 5. and had
Raise money for
parents come.
PTO and playground equipment.
Yeah, so
So if Ms. Joseph just said that you can't charge during the school day, then
Then
it
that would-
can't really be a fundraiser. It's going to be,
You can't charge the students, but you can charge the parents.
George parents,
I made the motion to approve the fall festival.
it's still taking away from academic time.
It's incentive.
it's what now?
It's an incentive for the kids.
But we really, from our last meeting, we found out we really do not have to approve fundraisers. Isn't that what we talked about at last
Right,
meeting?
right,
They were just presenting it to us.
right. So are you saying we don't have to
You don't have to
approve the
vote.
I
fall?
mean, that's what you brought up at the last meeting, that board does not need to approve.
No, that's right, but if it's taken away from the instructional day, I would think
But
we
that's
would
a
have-
conversation we're having about allowing them to have it
Right.
to take away from instructional time. But personally, you said that the board, and the policy says the board does not need
It's
to
the
approve.
it's the principal's decision, but again, I would think it's the board's decision concerning instructional time.
Yes.
Is that
Yeah,
right?
I think what y'all did last time was when you had a fundraiser, like somebody wants to sell candy bars after school or whatever.
The principal can make that decision.
You're talking about what's happening during the school day.
We're saying, can they dismiss school to have the
Right.
fundraiser? We're not saying we're not voting on whether they have the fundraiser or not.
Right,
We're
no.
talking about the time.
No,
frame.
no, I mean, they can do anything they want to do. Again, my concern is the instructional loss of time that they're going to have.
Mr. Chairman, you do have a motion on the floor.
Okay, it's been properly moved by Ms. Bell. Is there a second?
I second it.
Okay, it's been properly moved by Ms. Bell, seconded by Mr. Carroll. At this time, we'll have discussion over it
Was that motion to say, have it as it is written?
from 12:30 to 3.
In other words, taking away from the instructional time?
Yes.
And the parents it won't be accessible to parents?
Well, I guess they could go if
If
they
they have a
could-
job,
If they
okay.
can get off from 12:30 to 3.
Okay.
Again, I'm just concerned about, based upon their proficiency scores last year on the FSA, it's concerning that we're allowing people to be out of the classroom. With this year, we're going to have grades given. It's just concerning. And again, I mean, they weren't given a score this year, but I don't know that it wouldn't be, if it's a failing score, then DA will be back in the school, wouldn't they, Ms. Hill?
The only thing I'm looking at is those kids, I mean, they, at some point or another, they need some kind of,
They do need something, but they need to come up with something like Lee did, that it doesn't take from their academic time.
Or 3 to 5.
I did some of the schools that did it after, like from 3 to 5, so parents could come. I would think you'd want parents and all to come, because you're gonna make more money if it's a fundraiser.
that's true.
Or even 2:30 to 5. I mean, I just, and again, if you, and having experienced it before, the reality is that people are going to be, instructions will stop way before 12:30 and getting ready for that. I mean, that's just the nature of the beast in a small school, because the teachers are going to be having to set up their booths.
Well, can we recommend that they do it structured, like,
We can recommend them they have it at a different time, or do not take away from, their PE is not set up like Lee's, and so it won't fit like that.
they don't feel like it?
But they could
They don't have to.
do a 45-minute time during the day and spread it out all through the day from K through 5.
We can ask them to be
And
creative and
then
not
each
take away
grade
from
would only be
instructional
missing
time.
45 minutes.
What is the date on that again?
It is the 12th of November, in 11 days.
I just hate that so many things are being taken away from Greenville because of how it's set up. We're taking it away from the students, from the kids.
They have a pride program and the other program, they had that this past week, and they still having activities and things. They're celebrating, they're rewarding the kids for honor roll, and they had this past Friday. So we're not taking anything away from them. And in the past, this has been held after school.
Yeah, this is the first time I ever remember a fall festival.
Has Greenville had a fall festival?
When I was there, we had it after school.
Oh, that was
Unless,
back in the 20s.
No, that was 2 years ago.
unless like years ago back at old Madison Primary, we may have had it during
That was a disaster.
the day, but.
I remember.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor. The motion was made by Ms. Bell, seconded by Mr. Carroll. Ms. Joseph, what is your recommendation on this?
Whatever the board decides, 'cause I don't get a vote.
Okay, it's been properly moved by Ms. Bell, seconded by Mr. Carroll. All those in favor of the Fall Festival remaining 11/12/2021 from 12:30 to 3, show a hand. Opposed? 2, 3, Ms. Bishop for non-approval. So we need to decide what we're going to do to, because I want them to have a fall festival, but again,
Can we see if they can structure it? You know, I know they don't have PE like that.
I've
but-
asked her about restructuring at a
Or
different
after
time.
school,
I've talked with her about that.
you know, 3 to 5, whatever.
I've talked with her about that. She
I
doesn't-
know what, I know what they, you know, wanna have it in, cause a lot of those kids wouldn't get to stay, cause they ride the bus, and they wouldn't get to come back, and all that kind of stuff. That's why they want it.
We suggested, you know, she and I were talking that, they start 1 hour before the end of the day rather than, middle of the day.
You know what I'm saying? Cause a lot of those kids gonna go home, and then, you know, some of them don't have no ride back, so they're gonna get left out.
even if they did an hour throughout the day during their wheel time or enrichment or whatever they're calling it, that would allow them to go through the center or the stations they have there, like you did at Lee. I mean, I think that's a good idea. And that would allow them to do it if they're willing to do that. I mean, that would allow the ones, like Mr. Carroll are saying, who don't have a way back in, allowed to participate. If they're willing to do that.
So you're saying 1 hour, how would that, what are you saying now?
I would encourage Ms. Roderick to contact Ms. Brown and see, or Ms. Gonzalez to see how they did it at Lee. And then they can explain it. And from what I understand from Ms. Gonzalez, during their PE time, they went out and did the fall festival where each class, just the class was out there, am I right or wrong? And then they went through the stations in the fall festival.
Now, Greenville has less
Less
teachers
teachers.
than we do
Right.
also. So, I mean,
Right.
theirs is gonna be a little trickier. They also have less kids than us. So it would be different, but I mean, yeah, she could call and.
Because if the teachers, some of the teachers in the classroom with the students, they're not gonna be able to run the booths. Unless parents volunteer to go out there and run the booths for them.
Can't a teacher take their kids out to the, I mean, in other words, if you're a teacher, you got 20 kids, you take the 20 kids to the fall festival.
But we need teachers to run the booths,
Well, you know,
unless you get parents to volunteer.
well,
And y'all just opened
hopefully-
up for parent
Yeah.
volunteers. So
Hopefully
we
we
were
will.
closed when we did ours. So now it's open, you possibly could, or y'all can volunteer. They love it.
I would be happy to volunteer. It'll be another day of volunteering.
Yeah, we do a lot of volunteering. Okay, again, that's not for the board to decide. That's a school-based decision of what they decide. We've said what we would encourage, and that we feel that taking away from the school day is not at the student's best interest at this time. So that would be up for the administrator on site, and maybe Ms. Joseph to guide her in how she wants to handle this. So, do we need to vote, Mr. Reeves, on that, or?
I think if you're saying that as long as it doesn't take away from instructional time, they don't have to get approval by the board, then no, I don't guess you need to vote. If you're saying that for fall festivals like this, that will be held after hours, they would have to come back and get approval.
No.
Then no, I don't believe you need to vote. Is that clear?
Okay. Is there any other questions concerning that? Okay, if not, 6.1 superintendent items.
Okay, Mr. Chair, I have 3 items. The first item, all of y'all know we're still in the pandemic. We're in a time of scarcity, and we are going to the grocery store and can't find things on the shelf. Okay, well, Miss Wynn, our cafeteria person, she's having the same issue. And so to rectify that, Our mission of our food service people is to feed our students first. We are not having a community Thanksgiving this year. Okay. We are not inviting parents to Thanksgiving. Ms. Wiggin had to go into the store and buy some plates just for our regular students. And several times she has to substitute different foods because she doesn't know whether she's getting the food in or not. And so I've sent out several notes to your principals several times. Get it to your teachers so they let the parents know, even though we're opening school back, we will not have a community Thanksgiving meal. It's just that we don't know whether the supplies are gonna be there or not, and we've got to feed our kids first. Okay, the second thing I want to talk with the board about, what's the possibility of us doing payday before we get out for Thanksgiving? Payday is normally the last working day of the month, which is November 30th after Thanksgiving break. What's the possibility, or what do I need to do to get it back to us so we can get payday on November 24th?
What does it take to do it? I mean,
We would have to vote on it.
just vote on it? Is that?
The, when's the end of the pay period they're being paid for?
The 12th, it's time, the payroll has time to
They've
get
got
this
time?
taken care of.
That's what I was about to say, if they've got enough time to actually cut the paychecks.
They've got time.
Okay, so yeah, y'all just vote on
Okay.
it.
So what date are you asking for that to
24th.
be?
Is that the 24th, do we need to amend the agenda, put that
Yes.
item on there?
Yes, ma'am.
So you want the check cut the 24th, November the 24th?
Yeah.
And the way I think the way I would phrase it is that the payday that would normally be on November 30th would be moved up to November 24th. So everybody.
The
can
last
pay
working day for 12-month people before
Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving.
So Thanksgiving's the 25th.
But y'all
so
working the 24th?
Is that the 24th?
That's on a Wednesday.
It's 24th is Wednesday before Thanksgiving. Is that
I don't know whether they're working out there or not.
right?
Okay, yes, it's the 24th.
24th?
Okay,
Okay.
I will amend the agenda to include a 5.11. 5.11, moving the payday from November the 30th to November the 24th. Is there a motion to make the change?
I'll make the motion to change the pay date.
It's been properly moved by Ms. Williamson. Is there a second?
A second.
Properly moved by Ms. Williamson, seconded by Ms. Bell. Any discussion? There's no discussion. All those in favor, show of hand, please. 5-0, Ms. Bishop, for approval of moving the pay day from November the 30th to November the 24th.
Okay, and my last thing is that I don't have enough for everybody in the audience. Everybody in the state is having a shortage of employees. And this is just a table that shows you what a shortage everybody is having. Central School was talking about they need teachers, everybody needs teachers. Okay? We're not the bottom of the barrel, we're not the top of the barrel. But this is just as good needed for you. And it's only 2 districts in the states that's fully staffed.
Do I take one?
I'll send this to the principals tomorrow, they can share it with people.
That'd be Mayo.
Oh goodness, some districts are in the
Calhoun
double
County and
digits.
Lafayette County are the only 2 districts in the state that's fully staffed. We've got a district that's, have a vacancy of, 12.5%.
There's one that's 21.45,
Okay?
present vacant.
And Madison County has a vacancy of teachers of 6.57%. That's all I have. Yeah, but I know we're hurting. We're hurting, but where can you get it when everybody else is asking for the same thing?
There's a district our same size that has 16%. So, okay, is that all?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, attorney items, Mr. Reeves.
Only one thing, we still have the right of passage case out there, which is a contract dispute. We've set mediation for the end of the month. The way mediation works to public bodies like the school board is we can't agree on a final disposition. We can agree on something to recommend, and then y'all would have to consider it at a public board meeting and decide. We're interested if we are able to reach some sort of settlement. Otherwise, the next step is we've got a hearing on our motion to dismiss set for January.
Okay. So the hearing to dismiss is in January.
Yes, sir.
Is that all, Mr. Reeves?
That's all.
Okay, Mr. Carroll?
I'd just like to thank Mr. Williams and his staff for coming tonight and speaking. Ms. Hicks for speaking, and Ms. Rebecca for speaking, Mr. Johnson. Where yet? Is Mr. Johnson still in here? Mr. Davis, thank you. Hopefully they can get you fixed up, buddy. I don't know. That's somewhere else besides you and me, but I don't know. But anyway, I thank all that. I'd also like to congratulate the Broncos for winning the championship. That's always good to win a championship, but they just went down there and stomped them a championship. That's a lot better. But and the lady, the bus driver lady that spoke, I appreciate that too. I drove a bus a long time. I know your pain. But that's all I got.
Okay, Ms. Bell?
I would like to say thank you to Mr. Hicks and Mr. Dorsey for assisting the band, and Mr. Williams for coming down and his staff to give us some updates on the school. And I've got to say, I believe that y'all non-instructionals need much, much more pay. Y'all jobs are hard, because I've been there, and we need to do what we can to rectify it. I just wanted to let y'all know I appreciate all of y'all. I mean, it's not easy right now, especially during this time. We're helpers one to another. We need to do what we can to make sure that y'all feel appreciated. I appreciate you.
Okay, Ms. Gibson?
I'd like to thank Mr. Williams for coming tonight and giving us the information, and all of your staff. We appreciate you. There's very seldom a time when this board doesn't thank these people that work, the employees. Very, very seldom they're not thanked after the board meetings. I again appreciate Mr. Hicks and Ms. Dorsey for what they've done. They stepped up, and I look forward to meeting our new band director. And I think that's it for now.
Okay, Ms. Williams?
I want to thank everybody, especially everybody that works for us and all that they do, but especially at Central. And I know there's a lot of problems at Central. There's a lot of things going on that's kind of halfway beyond anybody's control. But we want to help you. We're here. Bring it to us and see. I mean, like I said, even problems that we might not can do anything about it, we can sure feel bad with you. But we appreciate all you do and all the hard work and all the struggles that everybody has in that school and the rest of our schools. And I want to thank, too, the people that have pitched in to keep a band program going this year, and I'm so glad we've got a potential band director.
We have a band director. Not a potential, we have one. I would like to thank Mr. Williams and his assistant principals and staff for coming tonight. I also, again, would like to thank Mr. Jay Hicks, who has been a lead fill-in for us at the high school, and Miss Sandy Dorsey, who has been his assistant. They single-handedly put a band show on the field without band camp, and they went to MPA in Tallahassee and were very respectable and presentable, and it made the district proud. And that's a lot to be said for that when, to be quite honest, I was wondering, like, how is this going to play out with not having band camp? Because that's where you learn everything. That's where you learn your show is at band camp. They sounded great. They did great. They seemed excited. They were complimented by other bands. I was able to speak with Senator Alsley there, and she complimented our band. Her son is in the Leon band, and they just did an outstanding job. And again, I thank them because that easily could have gone off the rails where we wouldn't have had a marching band this year. I want to thank all the individuals who spoke tonight with the union and presenting your concerns. I thank you for coming. Ms. Joseph has passed down the enrollment numbers at the different schools, so I'm about to call them out. Madison County Central, 969. Madison County High School, 459. Greenville Elementary, 94. Lee Elementary, 184. And Pinetta Elementary, 134. Again, and we appreciate all the employees for all that you've done and do, all that we've gone through with COVID. We appreciate all the hard work and just the constant not knowing what's next. It's very challenging, but again, I appreciate all that people have done. And the thing that, again, I keep going back to, and I don't want to like keep harping on this, but I know in May or June when we get the scores, some schools have done really well, and we want all schools to do well, and that's why we keep driving back instruction and being in the classroom, and we don't want any school for DA to have to come and take over the school. And so a lot of times what we do on the front end saves a lot of doings that we may have to do on the back end after it's all said and done. So again, that's my goal. I can't speak for the other board members, but we want all the students to be as prepared as they can be, and the ones who have lost gains during the COVID shutdown to where they can make gains and improve, where they can be at a higher probability of being proficient, because at the end of the day, your proficiency in the past, I know it's a new set of testing, but that's what determines if you get a regular diploma, not making gains, it's being proficient. And that's the unfortunate thing, that we can make all the gains in the world, but as of this past year, gains weren't giving out diplomas. It was being proficient in ELA or having concurrent scores on the ACT or SAT. So again, that's my hope for the students, and I wish everyone well. And is there a motion to adjourn?
I make motion to adjourn.
Okay, it's been properly moved by Ms. Bell. Is there a second? Second by Ms. Gibson. Meeting is adjourned.